Welcome to the Squad Games Podcast. Squad Games Podcast.
Hello, everyone. This is the Squad Games Podcast, and I want to let you guys know something. I've had my great fill of great Chef Ramsay. There's two TV shows that he's on. He's on the Kitchen Nightmares once again, which has been fantastic, both episodes, and same with both episodes of Hell's Kitchen. And I'm extremely happy right now. How about you guys? Is there anything that you guys have been watching or binging?
Well, I haven't gotten started on it yet, but I got an email last week that Great British Bake Off has a whole new season on Netflix, and that's my Jimmy Jam. I love that. My wife and I have been binging on Parks and Rec. We're making our way through that. I've never seen it at all. Yeah, and that was her reaction too. So she's like, "All right, buckle up, Buttercup. We're watching all of this."
I spent the whole last 2 weeks trying to find time to watch The Creator in theaters, and I haven't seen it. And by the time I get to see it, it's going to be out of theaters. That's all right.
I have no idea what the movie is. What is that?
I think it feels pretty easy to understand. Like, little girl robot is weapon, but also little girl who has feeling, but she also mega weapon. So they want to destroy mega weapon. But wait, she little girl, so you can't destroy little girl because she little girl. And I'm pretty sure that's what the movie's going to be. Pretty basic. The dude who did Rogue One is making it, and I like Rogue One.
Yeah,
so I'd still see it. You know.
Also, I've seen that movie, I think, about 8 times.
Yeah, probably.
I'm not going to lie.
I'd appreciate it if you didn't.
I have T-shirts of. You guys have both seen Full Metal Alchemist, right?
Oh hell yeah!
Yes.
Both versions.
So really? you know the little girl and the little dog.
Oh no! I'm taking my headphones off. You can say whatever. Right. We do not talk about that episode.
No, we do. It's like
I have T-shirts of them doing the fusion dance.
Oh my goodness, that's really funny. But
that's the dog in her.
Yeah. That's really funny. That's probably the best way to point a joke at the most heart-wrenching episode of that entire series.
If you ask me, it's an improvement.
Oh man,
Giacomo out here being like, what's that dude's name from the not Fulgrim? What's his name?
Fabulous Bill.
Lucius Bale. Yeah,
Fabulous Bill.
Yeah, Giacomo over here.
Yes, Fabulous Bill.
Being Fabulous Bill and whatnot. Yeah. As everyone can tell, we do have Emmanuel from the Strategic Advantage and his wonderful blog and his podcast. Emmanuel, do you want to say hello?
Hi.
Nice.
Hi. He's a great commando player, by the way, everyone. Commandos are real good right now, and it's magical that we went from the summer of Colt to the green summer. Emmanuel, how are you feeling about the green summer?
You want my honest answer? Little annoyed.
Oh yeah? Why?
Yeah, I kind of like them as this team that I was sitting there clamoring from the rooftops. You guys, these guys are good. Commandos are good. Stop ignoring me. And now no one's ignoring that. And I'm like, what else am I going to get up on my soapbox about? But in reality, there's a lot kind of going into that. And I mean, I'm sure we'll get into it in a bit. I actually, I wrote a whole long thing on this in the most recent blog post that covered the whole MetaWatch article.
Which is a fantastic article if no one's read it.
Yeah.
Where do they go to read it?
Oh, strategicadvantage.blog. Or are you talking about the Warhammer community article?
No, yours.
But it's so strange how like the only thing that's making them skyrocket right now in popularity is something that's been there from the beginning, you know? And it's like this secret sauce of everything kind of falling into place with them. And we say skyrocket, but I'm pulling up the stats right now because Dakotah, Birdie tells me you like stats. There's 2 stats about Commandos that are just fascinating right now. Their win rate is 58.1. So we're sitting here saying like, oh my goodness, Summer of the Green Tide, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not too far out from the metrics that they actually want them to be.
Can I say one thing?
You're allowed to, yeah.
In America, I think that the win rate would be much higher. I know in other countries, as Elliot said, they are not as picked and they don't do as well. Mm-hmm. Maybe Spain or Ukraine, or not Ukraine, Poland, or what's the other mecca? Britain have found the counter, or maybe they're not. I choose to think that they're not on our level. Sorry, everyone. Maybe you guys are. Maybe you're above us.
Well, I mean, not to interject a little bit. I don't really think it's like a skill or a volume level or anything like that. But I genuinely think a lot of it has to do with the terrain we use out here. I think the terrain setups are really, really different. And that's one of the biggest bugaboos of Kill Team. And always has been. Terrain's way too variable. And it dictates so much. One of the biggest things that allow for commandos to do what they can do is terrain dependent. Sneaky git, 1 inch from heavy, right? And there's very drastically differing terrain philosophies. If you look at the terrain setups that you make, and you look at an article that had been posted, I think a while ago by Ace on the Goonhammer website, it's very different, the philosophical approach to constructing a tournament table, right? Mm-hmm. And that is probably a big difference. Also, I think we can be a little hop on the bandwagon more than other nations.
I agree.
So a lot of people can eagerly switch to the new hotness. But that's not the other stat that was most interesting. Forget about win rates. That's not really fun. This is the most fun thing. Orc Commandos are the most picked faction right now in Kill Team. Wow. They've beat Intercession.
Wow.
That itself is just, when I saw that when I opened up the stats recently, I was like, oh, whoa. Okay.
Green Tide is here.
No joke. That's where the green tide is. It's not from the win rates. It's just it's so many of them now, right?
Well, the fact that they still have such a high win rate and they have the most picked rate might, because that means that even people that are maybe newer to the game are also still performing well.
Yeah. Well, also, let's be fair. It's a 0.2% difference. Intercession is 10.5 and Commandos are 10.7, but still. I mean, that's significant. And then you have Legionary that fell all the way down to 44. They used to be just behind Commandos. It used to be Intercession, then Commandos, then Legionary. And I mean, Legionary's dropped off quite a bit. I think Intercession's roughly close to where it was. I think it was around 11 and a half before. But there's been a big shift into Commandos. Yeah. Understandably.
I mean, like when people saw it at Nova, I'm sure on top of that, they were just like, now we can get it. We already own the models, or there's just a bunch in the market because they've been made so much now that it's really easy to just jump on and start playing them.
Accessibility is a huge thing about it too, right? I mean, we'll obviously get to this later, but I mean, there's Inquisition, which I think is just an unsung beast in the meta, and accessibility is a big reason why we're not seeing more of it, honestly.
Right, because you have to buy a few boxes that you might not have, unless you got that starter box. Because I've seen the Inquisition
or
box,
you're going to have to kit bash a lot.
Or you're going to kit bash a lot. Yeah, because otherwise you just have the one box that gives you like a handful of the dudes, but you still need to take like the Breachers, the what is it, Casterkin, the Vet Guard. So you still got to pick one, and you still got to get those guys if you don't have them already. And you might just be like, I don't really want to buy 2 boxes, so then you just get one thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think that's a super intriguing statistic, and I'm very excited to talk about today's subjects. One of which is that, according to that same article, we are going to have this current meta until the end of November / beginning of December. It's going to be the fall of the green fall. Orktober is a real thing.
I was about to say, it's like, it's right there, my guy. It's right there. It's Orktober and November.
November. I love that.
That's good. That's good.
Well, what's interesting is that Elliot also said that it seems that America is kind of like the highest pick rate for commandos. I know that you said that America does follow that trend of jumping on the bandwagon, but this is the first time that I think I've really witnessed it, because not everyone played Colts when Colts were big. Not everyone played Pathfinders. Some people actively. I think that's a good state, because even though commandos are really, really strong right now, they're still beatable, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh, definitely. Well, I mean, it's really hard to come back from a very big opening play. Do we want to just talk about what exactly makes them strong, in case there's some listeners that aren't too up to date on that?
Absolutely.
So, story time. The Commandos got a recent buff, which doesn't have as much to do with why they're so strong now as it should seem, because the thing that actually propelled them was the attention that this buff gave the team, that allowed people to look at the team through a new lens. I've been playing since the beginning of the edition, so I went through a phase with multiple sneaky gets before the new Crit Ops pack, right? And I eventually learned that the way that I approach the game and the way that I find my strengths as a player in playing the game kind of more consistently over the whole 4 turning points is sometimes not even using sneaky get at all. I just find a lot of value in those other ploys, and it's all about budgeting the CP at that point. But with a lot of new players looking at them again, because suddenly 11 models, which is significant, and one of those models being a very explosive little doggy, then people seeing different ways to min-max your VP. And that led to sneaky get 2 to 3 folks, not necessarily important folks. A lot of times it'll be a boy, or sneaky getting shooters up onto vantage points to completely shut down your opponent's approach to any key parts of the map. So a combination of putting a less valuable model forward just to grab VP early on as part of denial, or raking your own VP in, as well as being able to position very aggressively with a knob with dynamite, or with a rocket boy in a spot that you really wouldn't want them to be, with a conceal order ready to flip in the first turning point, So a lot of that has propelled them forward, the sneaky gets going forward. And I'm not sure if we're actually playing it right, I'll be honest, because technically speaking, you can use a tactical ploy infinite amount of times as long as you have the CP for it, if it's not within the firefight phase. And it really doesn't come up that often, because there are stuff that says once per battle, or et cetera, right? But this is one that seems to have persisted and snuck through, and really wasn't an issue as far as an oppressive strategy, right? And now that we're seeing all that, it kind of raises the question. It's like, well, would this have been errated at some point if this was a bigger issue before? But since it wasn't an issue, the team wasn't overperforming because of something that really wasn't recognized as a strong thing. It was just kind of left to fester. I find that hard to believe, just because there's been erratas for completely irrelevant stuff, like Warp Coven erratas for their narrative rules that no one's paying attention to, right? Like that stuff will get errated, even though it's not something that's causing an issue actively in the competitive meta. So I genuinely think that if it hasn't been errated by now, it means that we're playing it right. Just like this whole thing with, I don't know if you guys are seeing all this talk about Vet Guard orders. If they issue an order, does it count as a pass, or do they also have to do a ploy?
That happened at Nova, and
a only really relevant now because of Hand of the Archon, right?
Yeah. Matt ruled it as it could be a pass.
Really? I disagree with that because it's not explicitly a pass. And that's not how we've been playing it at all, because if you issue an order, it's not a pass because you're not passing, you're issuing an order.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I've played plenty of games where I'll pass, Beckguard player does an order. I'll pass, they do a strategic play, right? And that's how we've been playing it for 2 years. So if that's never been eroded, I don't think it's now we're suddenly figuring out that, oh my goodness, now we've been playing it wrong this whole time. No, the team has eroded so many things that are completely irrelevant to the active meta that they would have picked up on this if that's how it's been played. And rest assured that I think the dev team knows how Vet Guard work, and they've been playing this whole time, and they're not blind to the meta. We can see from the Meta Watch video how precise their focus is on not only just the grand meta, but also individual pockets. So there's no way that they don't know that people are playing it this way and have been for 2 years, right? Mm-hmm. So this is a very big aside just to provide another example of why I think Sneaky Git was always intended to be used more than once, or it was never seen as something that needed to be corrected, i.e. errata. So just coming back from that, I'm now going to kind of solidify exactly why I'm not really happy with the commando meta being as strong as it is. And it's because it's using a tactic that honestly is not fun to play into.
Agreed.
I talked to a lot of players that play commandos as well as played against commandos in a lot of these most recent tournaments. And even at the AVTT, in the game I played there, I didn't Sneaky Git a bunch. I was on Into the Dark. I couldn't. But my plan wasn't to do it because that's just not my play style. But in the end, it's also not very fun for the person on the other side to experience, because it can be 4-2 or 5-1, which is effectively 4-1, turning point 1 on the primaries, which is incredibly hard to climb back from. Right? Mm-hmm. You're almost lost just because the person played commandos and got defender, right? And that's not a fun thing to interact with. Now, I want to say, like, I'm not throwing any shit at anyone who does that. You go to a tournament, you're going to use all the tools to your ability to win that tournament. There's no fault and no shade to anyone who's double and triple Sneaky Gitting with commandos right now while they're still able to do that, right? But that's
for the foreseeable future.
Well, I mean, there's no way that they're not going to change this, right? Let's be honest, right?
There's no way this is going away. Yeah, or at least changing the max of 1.
I would definitely say this is not rules as intended. Unfortunately, it's just so plain as day written this way that's why it's being used.
I would argue that it's as intended. Otherwise, like, I mean, we can rewind back 10 minutes ago, but I'm not going to go into that again. But either way, even if it was intended at that point, it's clearly an issue. So it's something that should be changed. I think throttling it to 1 is great. I think that's a good place to start because, as I said, they're only at a 58% win rate. Now, podiums are different, but we're also not seeing them at every single tournament taking first across the globe. So the podium data doesn't also support, like, it would be entirely different if Colts weren't changed, right? Because Colts would have been podiums everywhere, first, second, third, right?
Agreed.
A little hyperbolic, but to get the point across. So it's not too exciting to see the orcs on top just because of how they're there, right?
Yeah.
I would love for them to change, but I also want people to start to practice without Sneaky Git ×3 because there's so much value in Skulk About, Daka, a well-timed Crumpum, like all these other ploys that you just don't have the budget for when you spend all of them at the beginning of the game, you know? So it'd be fun for folks who maybe picked up commandos specifically because of how strong they are to start to experiment with all those other ones to actually prepare for playing them after the inevitable nerf.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, what else is interesting about Colts, and another reason why I don't think that they podiumed as much as they did, or podium much at all right now, is because no one's bringing them.
I mean, you had your guest from Killscream, Tyler, right? Am I remembering right?
Correct.
My mind wanted to say Kevin. I was like, that's not Kevin. No, he's Tyler. Tyler said that people just weren't taking him.
Correct.
Right? They didn't want to be seen as that guy. And that's why we had Pathfinders not getting nerfed. But at least the Pathfinders not getting nerfed for as long as they were allowed to be. So silly. But I think the dev team is smart enough to understand when things need to change. And Elliot has said in 2 or 3 MetaWatch videos now, I think they've only done 2 videos, that he really does reach out to key members of the community to get some expert insight into what's going on with the meta. So it's clear that they're searching for that information that might not be represented through the data, because it's a no-brainer to talk to anyone who's been around this game that cults were an issue, right? Even if they're not going to podium, they still need to change.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah. I just find it really interesting that not a soul played them at LGT. I don't know if it was against the rules or why no one brought them to the London Grand Tournament.
That was all open, right?
No, I'm pretty sure it was all Into the Dark.
Oh, it was all Into the Dark?
Uh-huh. Which makes it even more suspect of why would you not bring the best Into the Dark team to... Yeah, so something about the LGT that some people don't know. The London Grand Tournament does they have a contract with supposedly they have a contract with GameMats.eu, and they have to use GameMats.eu terrain. So instead of doing that this year, apparently they went with either GameMats.eu open boards and Into the Dark, or it was just all Into the Dark. From the games that was streamed, I could tell that it was just it looked like it was just Into the Dark, or at least top tables were. So yeah, I think that it was all just Into the Dark. So which is interesting.
Yeah, I mean, cults isn't. I mean, we can show a little bit for AVTT. I mean, the team that won it had a strategy of put Baki with cults on Into the Dark, and guess what? It works. Good player, great team on Into the Dark, which is perfect for it. I had to play cults on Into the Dark for the game I played at AVTT.
You're playing James Robinson, right? And
yeah, against James. Stressful game. It's really hard to make an impact on that team when I can't launch someone forward to explode into their back line or pick them off as they come in. Really, really, really tough to play into cults. I lost by a few points there. I think I put up a good fight, but I'm surprised I got that close in points. I'll be genuinely honest. I thought I had lost the game by a landslide by the end of Turning Point 2 or halfway through that, but I was able to make some moves that really swung into my favor towards the end, but not hard enough, you know?
Yeah.
And that team, just once a machine gets going, it gets going, and Into the Dark really gives them that safety to kind of pump up a ton of mutants and torments before you can deal with them.
Yeah.
Right.
I think that's one of the hardest things is so what we're seeing, going back to our terrain talks and philosophies, a lot of Games Workshop events don't run Into the Dark because whether it's Games Workshop's decision or it's the event organizers, they can't set up enough terrain fast enough.
I mean, firsthand, it is torture to set up tables for Into the Dark,
especially we don't know how many people help set up the events for Games Workshop. If it is just the TO, imagine setting up 50 boards of Into the Dark by yourself. Your own. It would take 2 days. Days. Luckily at the AVTT, we had Orion and all the Six-Sided Legion. We had Alex. We had a lot of people and quite a few other people come through that night. We had James Robinson and Evelyn all come up and help set up the night before. And it still took us 2 or 3 hours to set up 36 boards. And it wasn't all Into the Dark, right? We had 40% Into the Dark. So no, not 40. It was 35, 36% Into the Dark. And
whoa. 4% difference.
I know. Hey, those percentage points, they mean something.
They matter.
0.2%, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It was essentially a third of the terrain.
Yeah.
Right.
So then you have LGT running all Into the Dark. You have Spain, who they like more open middle and safer deployment zones. So like, and then you also have like people in Australia, like bands, and them, they have their own thing. And then you have, Turning Point Tactics, who runs a little bit heavier. And then you have people who modify Turning Point Tactics. And
in Australia, they actually deploy from the middle. It's weird. Yeah.
What?
And no, he's kidding, Giacomo.
I thought it played upside down.
No, the dice roll the opposite direction. It's strange. It takes some getting used to.
Yeah, they deploy down under.
Deployment down under.
That's a Slaneshi.
I think it's the Russians.
I've never heard of it.
The Russians deploy upside down. It's funny. We have a member out here that says that they're part of a couple chats from some Russian Kill Team players, and apparently they think that an hour and a half is too long to play Kill Team because they finish all their games in under an hour. And I was like, well, that seems about right for Russia because it's they do everything faster than us or different or backwards. Like you have all the memes of people riding bears and all that kind of stuff. Just makes sense,
The idea of discipline, I guess.
Yeah, and I'm sure that makes it harder for the development team, knowing that they have to kind of balance teams on a team basis rather than how terrain is going to be set up and how things are going to happen. I'm sure there's some kind of weird internal things that they're also that we have no idea about, right? Like just plain and obvious, right? So, but it's still, and I know that Elliot said that the summer of Melee was over, but orcs are Melee too. So
they're a shooting team. I'll die on that. That's my new soapbox. They're a shooting team.
That's your
with
new
the ability
soapbox?
to fight.
If you believe it enough as an
I'm
orc,
standing
right?
on a box full of Dakotah. They're a shooting team.
I think if you get shot by orcs, you're playing wrong.
Because their rocket launcher can move and shoot. It's not a heavy weapon. It's just one of those what
but
the
it's
hell?
A splash. It's a splash.
But
It's just
I think
splash.
it's dope. I think it's dope.
Splash.
It's just
Still,
It's just splash.
You're not taking it for the splash.
yeah,
Which also makes it lethal 5-up on Into the Dark, my guy.
right.
Yeah.
It makes it just better. The missile launcher is dope. I love that thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a fun team. But I
It's a very
really
fun
want
team.
them to get nerfed so that way they're the fun team to play with and against again. Because right now no one wants to play into Commandos because they're like, oh, okay, I guess I'll just lose.
Let's see.
Yeah,
what
there's a lot of people that
choreographed thing
refuse
you're
to
gonna
play
do.
them. Yeah, there's a lot of people that refuse to play them as well right now just because they are the stronger team.
Not me.
And obviously there's a lot of people out there who play them because they have the highest pick rate now, right?
Yeah.
The orcs. See, it's like in just like the lore, like Tyranids and orcs, they're growing a bigger wog.
That's right.
Space
right.
Marines.
I mean,
Space
Tyranids
Marines need a
ain't growing
buff to
anything
smash
right
them
now.
back into their filthy fungus holes.
Hey, we enjoy those fungus holes to be filthy. We grow our fungus with our drops, so it's part of it.
Yeah. Now, they did say that the next something is going to be announced for Kill Team on Saturday the 14th.
It's a beer cozy.
I could see a beer cozy, like one of those little. But what faction would be on it? It'd have to be orcs, right?
It's good beer. It's coming in October.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
No, it's just a baseball. It's a baseball with the Aquila on it, and it makes no sense. They just got a great deal. A scarf. A cat scarf.
Or tea.
The leading
British
rumor.
way, tea?
Yeah, the tea. The leading rumor is that they that it's striking scorpions versus scouts, right? That's what everyone is claiming online. If there was another team that was going to be announced, because we obviously don't know if that's the case, Giacomo, what team would you like to see?
Tyranids. Particularly probably I think I've said it before, maybe Von Ryan Leapers with maybe it's just like a Termagant kind of team, like the little team of things. So it'd be another horde team. With your leader is your synapse guy and he does synapse things. Then you'd probably have one of the new antenna kind of dudes that they made, shit like that. I don't know. I think that could be fun because, we don't really have Termagants and they're still a thing. But probably Von Ryan Leapers is the real thing because they're more sneaky.
Okay. Yeah, I could see. I think that like if people got it wrong about Striking Scorpions, we could see like the Exodites maybe like, it's an Exodite team instead of just a Striking Scorpion team or something like that. That could be interesting. But the team that I kind of really want to see outside of Eldar, because Eldar, they're my babies. I really want to see Lady Eldar. I love me some Lady Eldar, and I'd love to see them come into Kill Team, but that's besides the point. Like Howling Banshees or some female Scorps of Striking Scorpions. Besides those, I'll get off the Eldar train. I think that a really fun team that we haven't seen explored is the Tau Auxiliary. So we could see like humans and Vespids and crew and maybe like a fire warrior or two and like a whole bunch of like little dudes.
Oh, like a mishmash on one team.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
Like a Tau Inquisition team. That could be fun.
I mean, I could see Vespids.
Emmanuel, anything that you think it might be interesting? Yeah. I just wouldn't want to see a whole team of Vespids because that'd be boring. I want to see some stuff.
Well, I mean, it'd be really cool to have like a nice solid 10-man human team, with the comms, a medic, like some really
had a chance. Let's go.
No, I couldn't keep a straight face for that. I don't know, man. Like, here's the thing. Like, there's so many rumors out there and there's so many wish lists out there.
Giacomo, you have what's that Reddit list?
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you guys were talking about that. But like the thing about it is it's really cool to look at what they have done just to see what they might do. Right? Like our first box was Death Krieg or Death Korps Krieg and Commandos. Both archaic, both well deserving of an upgrade, right? So I can see where rumors of like Striking Scorpions and Scouts came from if people are looking towards like, okay, what needs an upgrade? Literally everything Eldar. But the Striking Scorpions, I think, were pretty old, right? I don't know what would be the oldest kit for Eldar. You would know that better. But that's kind of where my mind goes when I think of like, okay, well, what could a new team be? If you're asking me what I want, I would love an all Noise Marine team. That would be awesome because I've bought way too many Orc Goff Raka proxies from like Wargame exclusive. They just kept feeding them to me in my Instagram. I'm like, yes, please. Yes, please. Yes, please. I have like 8
disposable income, motherfucker.
I have no plans. I'm looking at most of them are not even built. They're in blister packs. But I was like, if there's a Noise Marine kill team, that would be so rad. Like I could do a whole diorama with like a stage. That would be really fun. I could have like a bunch of like orc boys making a mosh pit in the front. I'd have a lot of fun with having an excuse to use these guys. Because aside from that, my only idea is like, okay, well, I'll wait until an interesting elite army comes out, maybe, and just proxy each guitar for a different weapon. Like one of them's holding them like an axe. There's a flamer one. There's they're just like all in these random poses. So I need something for them. So yes, I think after all of that, I'll solidify my vote is locked in for Noise Marines. Yeah, let's do that.
I would love to see Noise Marines come out at the beginning box of the next season. Just because, like, I think Valrak said that the rumor is that the Noise Marines the Emperor's Children are supposedly going to be dropping next fall or next.
Like a new codex.
Yeah. So
interesting.
If that's a thing, I'll believe it when I see it. But if that happens, that would line up perfectly with the next season. Hopefully, as from the past 2 years, we'll have to see if Games Workshop keeps those.
Well, to be fair though, it's not common that we see stuff drop for Kill Team at the same time as 40K, right?
Mhm.
I mean, we're still waiting on those NIDs, right?
Yeah.
But then also, was it like 8, 9, 10 months from when the Hearthkin Salvagers that sprue was originally available?
I think it was 8 months. Yeah.
Something like that. And I was getting sick of seeing on Reddit, it's like, come on, this sprue is already a Kill Team. Give us rules. And they weren't wrong. But there was a tiny little upgrade sprue that they gave you. But the team was mostly there already. That Hearthkin Salvager, or whatever it's called. The
Hearthkin Salvagers.
Yeah.
The Hearthkin Salvagers, that's right.
But sorry. No, the what are they in 40K?
Votan.
Well, no, not Votan. Like that actual team, that unit. I don't think they're called the same thing, are they?
Hearthkin Warriors.
I call them Votan Hearthkin Warriors. There you go.
Hearthkin, yeah, right? Like, we're looking at that and waiting for a team, and it came like 8 months later. So if they did an Emperor's Children thing, it's doubtful it would drop same time.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, I don't know. I really don't know. But I would love for that. That'd be great. Give me something to hobby these guys with. Otherwise, it's just an unfortunate
right.
impulse purchase times 8.
Like, if Rubric Marines have their team, then it's only a matter of time, and Death Guard, then it's only a matter of time until Death Guard gets an update. Then you get World Eaters, and then you get Slanesh, specifically Emperor's Children. You know, it's only a matter of time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's
Let's go over this first. So there's 4 boxes that this person supposedly leaked, and I think it's a bunch of hogwash.
Oh, this is the Reddit thing?
Yeah, it's going to be great.
How unprofessional does it look?
It's really bad, in my opinion.
Okay, great. I love it. Go ahead.
So box 1 is supposed to be Tempest Guardians, the Eldari, versus Veteran Scouts, Space Marines. I highly doubt we'll see Guardians.
Tempest Guardians? Are
Yeah.
these the like D-Scythe dudes?
No, those are Wraithguard.
Wraithguard,
And then there's
okay.
Storm Guardians, but those are the ones that I think people are talking about. But if this is true, I'm going to be very upset because I don't want to see
Tempest Guardians.
Yeah, it seems a little ridiculous.
What a dumb name. Elves are dumb.
Most of these names to me seem like they just put it into Chat GPT and they made some stuff up.
Oh, can I do a quick aside? Did you guys see that the apology for that Gollum game that flopped was actually written by ChatGPT?
Was
What?
it really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
I saw the graphics for
I can't even make a real apology.
Yeah, I saw that news report today. I don't know if it's true or not, but it made me laugh. Anyway, continue. What else is on the Chat GPT release schedule?
So box 2 is supposed to be Spawn of Typhon, the Gene Stealer Colts, versus Veritas Kill Team Deathwatch.
Okay.
I think
I would love a Deathwatch Kill Team.
All right, who's jacking us off here to try to, like, that feels. I don't know if that one's true.
Also, those names are even worse.
Yeah, they are. What is it, Giacomo? What is that? What is the? Is it Viridian? No. What? So the Imperium of Man has like the highest level of secrecy. I think it starts with V and it's for the color of green.
Vermilion? No, Vermilion's
levels
not green, right?
of yeah,
that doesn't sound right. Is it?
Secrecy.
Well, also, is Dakota actually seeing the right color when he's saying it's a type of green? Is this a pink?
Yeah, he's reading it, so it's fine.
Level.
He can read. He can read color. He can't see it.
I don't know. Jury's out on that.
Do you think he can hear color at least?
I'm not that autistic.
I can definitely taste color.
What does blue taste like?
Raspberries, blue raspberries specifically.
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, all colors taste like their icy equivalents. This is just facts.
So I know there's going to be somebody out there that can tell us this thing, but it happens all the time in Gaunt's Ghosts where it's not emerald, it's something else. Yeah. But yeah, so I would have been much better if they actually used a Games Workshop term.
Verdigris, Viridian. Viridian's green.
I can't
Viridian.
remember. So I will say the reason why I think
we're spending the rest of the time figuring this out, Dakota. You don't understand.
All right.
No,
let's derail it.
Okay. All right. So the reason why I think that this box is dumb is because, firstly, like what we've seen in the past is a lot of kill teams are at least somewhat similar to their releases in 40K. And if we're going to stick to the same time schedule, this next box should come out sometime in November or October, right? If it gets announced on Saturday, hopefully, we see it early November. If this does not happen, everyone can just ignore this because I'm just wrong. So box 2 is typically released sometime in January or February. The next box is typically released sometime in May, and then we have another one sometime late summer, right? So,
right.
Well, unless they decide to release two boxes back to back like they did for Into the Dark. So,
Agreed.
I mean, who knows? Who knows? Schedule be damned.
Yeah, we could be. Maybe we'll see it right before LVO to make my life a living hell. Be like, oh yeah, here's season 3's terrain. Good luck, Dakotah.
Yeah, because you're really going to change your terrain.
No, I'm not. Well, I would possibly add some stuff if they release it in November.
If you had enough time. That's fair.
Right.
That's fair.
But if they're going to do it like the beginning of January, it's not going to happen. So, let's just say it is on that time schedule. So the beginning in January, we're supposed to see Dark Angels, right? That's supposed to be the big release, brand new Dark Angel sculpts, all that kind of stuff. So I could see like maybe the kill team is actually not kill team. Maybe we get some like Deathwing Terminators or something. That would be cool. Gene Stealers just doesn't make any sense to me. Maybe the brand new Gene Stealers can come out like as a full Gene Stealer team, but to me, it just doesn't make any sense.
Well, is that like Gene Stealers like the cult or Gene Stealers like the Nids?
This one says Gene Stealer cult. Like it would be really cool if we actually see Gene Stealer cult's already done. To me, Tyranids don't make sense in kill team because unless if you're playing a Lictor team,
Right.
To be fair,
would be
though,
on the front.
To be fair, they're still struggling with balancing Wormblade. So what if tinfoil hat, they said, you know what? We're giving up on Wormblade. We're just doing it over. And they're just doing another. Who knows, right? I don't think that there's a rule that's saying that because they did it, they can't do it again. But also for something so niche, like they'll do Space Marines again and again. They'll do dudes with army pants again and again and again, right?
Yeah.
But something as weird as like a Gene Stealer cult that only has like, I don't know, they're not orcs, so they're not that popular, right?
Mm-hmm.
No one really likes Gene Stealers. Let's be honest. But I
don't know many Gene Stealer players in 40K, so that's the Gene Stealer cult players specifically.
Yeah,
so
it's just not a super. It's not a super popular faction, right? So to do two,
it's only popular when they're strong.
Fair, yeah. So to do two before other more beloved teams get something, like where's the Grey Knights, right? Where's Deathwatch, right? Apparently in that box.
Yeah, I know, right? So, I think the only way it would be cool is if they really focused on the Gene Stealer aspect. So we got like abominations and we got like, other things that were interesting. I think that could be cool, right? But in the end, I still think it's highly suspect. Or
you could spend a CP to actually infect the other player with the virus, and then 3 games later in the tournament, you actually get to take one of their models onto your team.
Love it. Absolutely love it. Yeah. Hashtag narrative teams.
No. These are their matched play rules.
No TO.
Match play rules. I'm sorry, my guy. This is match play. I would love that.
Yeah.
I would love that.
I think I'd throw in the towels at TO. I think it'd be too hard to try. Throw it in. Box 3 seems like the most amount of hogwash out of all of these. Firstly,
it gets worse. I haven't seen this post. This is like live reaction from me. This is great.
Box 3 is the Pit Gladiators, which are World Eaters. Okay. I could see a World Eaters something coming out, right? Just because, like, they will get a second release at some point in time next year. Right, so, like, maybe they get some sort of new kit or some kind of upgrade. Like, maybe Berserkers actually become a real thing. Man, I would really love like a Khorne demon team or like a Khorne juggernaut, in kill team. Oh my god!
So I'm gonna laugh.
Oh.
I'm gonna tell you why I laughed when you said pick
Big.
gladiators, because well, you said that, and then you said a Khorne berserker team or whatever you said. And in my mind, I got an idea of a Space Marine with a pauldron that has the Old Spice logo on it. And I was just like that. Yeah, I hope this is real because I'm going to do that. They're red. It's perfect.
Yeah. So the next one is the next team that they're supposed to be fighting is the Elysian Mobile Infantry Squad, which this goes back to like a rumor a couple years ago that when they took the Krieg off of Forge World, they also took Elysians. And then the rumor is that like Elysian, there's supposed to be 2 brand new teams coming to 40K's Imperial Guard. And they came out with Death Krieg, right? Which supposedly Death Krieg are supposed to get more models at some point in time. And then there's supposed to be one more.
Right.
And people were thinking it's going to be the Elysian drop troops. And then everyone was like, no, it's Catachan. So I could see this box being a Catachan team and not the Elysian versus World Eaters. That would be interesting.
Like Elysians are cool because we don't have another flying team, outside of like clowns.
Well,
right? I can't think of one.
What's this? Valrak keeps saying into this kill team edition is going to be into the skies, where we're going to have swooping hawks and vespids. I guess the Elysians would make sense.
Troops, with their jetpacks and shit.
Because I would hate it. Because I want Dakotah and Giacomo. Shut the fuck up. Stop trying to make sense.
Stop trying to make it real. This is the one thing you can't manifest.
Do we know what the expansion for Krieg is going to be for 40K? Are they getting horses with gas masks?
I really hope so.
Hell no. Maybe.
No.
I would love that. I would love that.
There's been no additional rumors other than supposedly they're going to get more plastic. When the next codex comes out, they'll probably get new sprues, because that's one thing we've been seeing is at Games Workshop in 40K, at least, is they release half of a team, and then 2 years later or a year later, when they drop the next codex for the next edition or whatever, they drop another part of the army. So like it happened specifically first and foremost with orcs. Orcs got like Gazgul, it got like a bunch of new models, and then and I think at the end of 8th edition. And then when 9th edition dropped, they got like 2 years later, they got a bunch more brand new models. So yeah. And then we're at least we haven't seen it be like a super thing that's happening, but it is supposedly rumoring happening with Eldar, Imperial Guard, and other teams. So we, as long as the kill team community stays looking at the 40K releases, we might be able to further guess what is going to come out if we stick to the same timetables. The final box at the end of this edition, or the end of this season, is supposed to be the Shadow Spawned Chaos Demons versus Strike Squad Excalibur Grey Knights.
Well, first and foremost, they cannot be called Excalibur.
No, they can't.
There's no way that they're gonna. They got to make it 40K-ish, like Excalibus or some stupid name like that, right?
Some
Great Ablaticus.
Yeah, just enough so they can copyright it, right? So, firstly, I think that last one, Strike Squad Excalibur, invalidates this entire thing, right?
100%.
What
it would be cool to see like Grey Knights. Who knows?
Yeah, Strike Squad Excalibus is actually just Catachans.
I still would love to see like chaos demons that follow Vashtor, like specifically like they release something with like the follow up of Vashtor, like what happened to him, because he became like this crazy like powerful being because he succeeded. Come out with his own demons and like like not Excaliburs, but who the fuck knows what's going on with Grey Knights? Grey Knights are rumored to get an
That's
update
the
in
idea.
11th edition.
That's the idea behind them. No one knows what's up with Grey Knights. It's all a secret.
You're right. Maybe that's going to be the real Inquisitor. They're going to have like a real Inquisitor in that team, and they'll be like, "Oh, this is what we've been planning the whole time. This is Inquisitorius. Great
You know,
Laticus.
I think it's going to be a
I
strike
think I
squad.
figured out what this list is.
What is
I
this?
think
list?
I figured this. I think I know what this is.
Rumors?
They're probably just coming out with a 40k version of Blood Bowl, and these are the teams. The names all sound like really terrible Blood Bowl team names, right?
They do. 100%. Especially Pit Gladiators and Spawn of Typhon. What is that?
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
Strike Squad, Excalibus. It's going to be 40k, and it's not going to be football. It's going to be English
It's going to be
football or UK football.
European football.
Whatever, soccer.
There we go.
European.
In the
That's
far
what it is.
future,
European
there's only
football.
goals.
There it is.
I could see actually somebody's like typing out all the team names on ChatGPT and saying like, "Hey, make the next 4 boxes."
All right,
And
we're doing
like-
something. We're doing something. Hang on.
Okay. Oh, we're doing it on ChatGPT?
I'm going on to ChatGPT right now.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
ChatGPT.
Narrate the whole thing so the listeners at home can hear it.
Yeah. Okay. So, hey, good evening.
They only know
Hope
ChatGPT
you're
only knows up to
doing
2018.
Well, that's okay.
Okay.
Hope you're doing well. I'm very polite with the robots. You never know.
Yeah, you never
Exactly.
The-
Terminator's going to happen before we know it.
hope you're doing
Those bastards.
well. Okay. All right. Can you generate? Let's do 8 team names for a Warhammer 40k version of Blood Bowl. Thank you. Alrighty. You did not have any of this planned for today, did you?
No, I didn't. This is just like a D&D campaign when things to go off the rails and you just got to ride. You just ride the lightning.
Okay,
Are you sure?
these are
Yeah.
all terrible.
All right, what do you got?
You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Yeah.
Warp Stripe Wreckers,
Okay.
Emperor's Ironclad Smashers,
That's who I'm playing.
Necron Annihilation Reavers.
Oh.
What?
They're literally just taking buzzwords that they
Names
found
and
on, like they just.
How do you think
like,
GW
these are all Necron Annihilation Reavers, right? Tyrannid Carnage Crushers. That's great. That is great. The Tyrannid Carnage Crushers. Chaos Warp Flame Marauders. Imperial Inquisitors of Mayhem.
That's my favorite team now.
No. Number 7's yours. Eldar Psych Blades.
That one wasn't that
the
terrible.
Orc. Wow! Rampagers. Yeah, some of these are all right.
Yeah. The Inquisitor
is-
one and the WOG one are the
But I think I've proved a point. All of these are better than any of the names that you just read from that Reddit post.
I agree. 100%.
Oh, wait. I didn't read the rest of it. I hope these team names are fitting for your Warhammer 40k Blood Bowl League. I'm in with the robots. I'm safe. I'm safe. Skynet can come now. I'm fine. No, they don't.
No, they don't.
Because they know. AdMech don't have time for Blood Bowl.
They're hiding
busy
the-
killing the humans.
That's true. The flesh is weak. The flesh is weak. The flesh is weak.
That was fun.
That was exciting. So, yeah, that was an interesting post that I saved. That was fascinating. But yeah, that's some interesting speculations. Who knows? Maybe if we see fucking Pit Gladiators show up on Saturday, I'm gonna be very sad.
Quit Kill Team.
You're gonna despawn.
I'll despawn and then I'll
Is that
just
the
go
meme
down
where the dude
under.
just,
But
like,
the Australians
doing
and
the peace sign
Ackley didn't
disappears?
exist.
Yep. You know what? I hope this is all right. This is the kill team we deserve.
Mm-hmm.
Bringing 9 commandos to Nova. What are we thinking?
Yeah, it's going to be, speaking of Nova and upcoming tournaments,
Yeah.
we have quite a lot of big tournaments coming up for this patch of Kill Team. We have I think the most 2 upcoming ones are, we have the Tampa Kill Team Grand Tournament, the US Open Tampa, which I believe they currently have 38 as of recording this. They have 38 signed up players. Kill Scream has 63 players currently.
They have
Oh,
one
wow.
slot open. One opening.
Uh-huh.
There you go. On my way.
Mhm. If I wasn't going to a bachelor party in Vegas this weekend, I might fly up to Portland and play. But my homie's more important than Kill Team. So.
You can do both. Pack up your bachelor party, bring them to Portland, play Kill Team, win a sword. Win the sword for your buddy getting married.
I know, right?
What kind of friend are you? No, we're stopping. We're going on Expedia. We're getting you a ticket. Not sponsored.
Yeah, not sponsored. I wish. So, and we just had the London Grand Tournament. So we went London Grand Tournament, Tampa, US Open Tampa. We have Kill Scream. Right after that, we have SoCal Open. Then we have the New York Open and the West Coast Championships. And then finally, we have the Grand Narrative. Those are the big ones that I know of in America. I'm sure there's always something in Spain. I think they have something really big in November, but I'm not sure what it is.
They have a few small RTTs of just like 48 people.
Yeah. Which is bigger than the London Grand Tournament. They had 47. So, but so we have a lot of big tournaments coming up, and they're coming here to an awesome podcast to hear our thoughts on what we think is super strong for this upcoming meta. Should we just put Commandos in S tier and just like not talk about them the rest of the time because we already know they're strong?
I mean, we talked
A?
about them quite a bit. I think at least top of A, if not S tier, because the thing about them is that they can just, you can overcommit pretty easily. So I don't think it's an auto win, but in experienced hands, it can almost feel like that.
So let's qualify. What are our tiers for this thing?
Okay, that's probably a good idea.
Yeah, so S tier is likely to win one of these majors.
Okay.
Is that fair enough?
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
S is likely.
Well, let me also ask you this, because sometimes it's easy to clarify. Are we talking about the absolute ceiling of these teams? Like, are we saying that, okay, all skill aside, everyone equal skill level, everyone playing these teams to the best of the team's potential, that's where they're lying? Because you can also get messy with a tier list and say, it's like, well, there's going to be so many of these guys there, and they're so easy to pilot that even lower skill players will do very well with them. So they're A tier, right? And that kind of muddies the sorting a little bit. So are we saying absolute top potential of what these teams can achieve?
I think that is more or less safe, but I know we'd have a lot of teams in the upper tiers. So I think
the point I was going to make is that most of the teams are all on the same bar then.
Yeah. I think that we should do more of a generalization of maybe like where they'll place in a tournament, like on average. Like, I think Commandos definitely have one of the higher chances of winning multiples of these tournaments. And then like other players, obviously, like if we look at Nova as an example, the lowest placed person placed like 32nd with Commandos, right? So I think that we should, if we know somebody's going to a really big tournament who really plays one of these teams and is super highly competitive, I think we should obviously take that into effect. But we don't know what everyone's bringing, because when we look at the US Tampa Open or Kill Scream, not everyone's input their teams. So I think more of a generalization is probably better, so that we get a little bit more of a spread and we don't have a bunch of people at the top and a bunch of people at the bottom.
Okay.
What do you guys think?
Sure.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Okay. So Commandos, you guys, I say S tier. What did you guys say?
I think that's reasonable, honestly.
Yeah.
In good hands, in the right situation, they can do really well. The problem is there's also another team that we should put up there, and I think it's still Colts. They definitely should go up there. And the thing about it is that they almost yin to each other's yang, right? Colts meeting Commandos on an open board are going to have a difficult time. Commandos meeting Colts on Into the Dark are going to have a difficult time as well. So that's why it's almost like and then right a third up there, I think you also have to put Vet Guard. I don't think Vet Guard's ever not been either top of A or low S.
The
ever.
one thing I will say, I think Vet Guard is a strong A. I don't think that I've seen Vet Guard actually win a tournament in a while. Like a
they
big
definitely
one.
could though.
Yes,
they definitely could.
If
Your
I
mind
practiced,
blows up
maybe
through walls.
yeah. If I practiced, maybe. But there, it also requires a good player to want to take them, right? And I think that we're getting close to that. Especially, I could see them being S tier.
Yeah. And that's what I was kind of saying at the beginning. It's like, well, why are we grading these guys on?
Yeah. So S is likely to win. I think A is more of like a can win. B is maybe like very much maybe win, but won't.
Like you got to get perfect strikes,
and then
you get it.
C, I think, is a very average team, and they won't win any tournaments.
Mm-hmm.
But you'll still win some games. I maybe.
think D is probably like you're going to have the fun time game.
Yep, you're going for a good time.
The fun time game.
That's the bad tier.
Good time. And F that's the they don't tier. Really belong in competitive.
that falls in the same.
And can we just agree to skip on all compendium except for Scions and Custodes?
What about? I don't think that anything else has a chance at anything else. I know a lot of people talk about greenskins or.
I think Scions are pretty darn good, but they're not like bottom feeders.
Do their job just a little bit. I mean, okay,
yeah, I agree.
A little differently, but maybe a little bit better. But
yeah, they could take any of the type of archetype. So that is one bonus.
Mm. We'll at least get all of them out of the.
Yeah, we'll try to minimize the amount of compendium.
What about Death? What about Death Guard?
I think they move too slow.
And High Fleet, we'll just make quick little things about them. Craft World, I don't see a lot of people play them.
Mm-hmm.
High Fleet, I think, could be good if you're like playing against somebody who doesn't know what they really do. But if you kind of know their tricks, you're probably going to avoid getting shot by the Tyranid Warrior, and you're probably going to kill some gene stealers.
Jeremy from Plasma Spam did play them, and he did pretty well with them. So I would be okay with putting them in D tier. Like, I don't see them actually ever winning one of these major tournaments, at least right now in this current meta. But I also don't think that you're failing if you like they don't belong in competitive play. I think that you could still take some wins off of people.
Yeah, then I'd put him in that D
and
tier.
I think the same would be for Death. I think the same thing for Death Guard.
I think that's fair for Death Guard.
And I think Scions should also be there.
Yeah. And you could put Scouts there too.
Yeah. I think Scouts too. So okay. So compendium wise,
I think Demons can be there too.
Demons are definitely actually pretty decent.
At least out of the fail tier.
I don't think they have a chance unless if Orion is playing them. I don't think they have a chance of winning any of these big major tournaments. I think they just are too poor into teams that have stun. They have no way to combat stun, and they just,
it's also highly dependent on what you're playing on, right? If you know you're going to an all into the dark tournament, a lot of this is different, right?
Agreed.
Assume it's a mix.
You can put OG Necrons in fail. You can put they're there on the 4th.
They're there.
You can put Grey Knights in there.
Yep. Grey Knights don't deserve it.
Just delete all these teams already.
I wish I could.
Yeah.
All right. So
some more Marine teams in there, but we can ignore them for now.
Yeah. I feel like the only teams that make it out of compendium that are like in at least in our general opinion that aren't like that kind of belong in competitive play. You can get some wins at the table with them, but you're probably not going to see them win any kind of a tournament is Tyranids, Death Guard, Scions. I know a lot of people are going to complain about our Scions being so low, but unfortunately,
I was going to ask for some adjustments there.
Oh, yeah. Really?
Yeah, actually, I thought they'd be a little higher.
Yeah, I would be okay with Scions being C, top of C. Sure. I think Talon should definitely be in B. I think there's still especially in a mixed tournament.
They maybe win a tournament. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Jimmy did win one.
Yeah.
87 person. Oh, yeah.
Case in point.
Greenskins.
Yeah. Greenskins can be in D.
Yeah.
I think that demons can be in C along with scions. I think that's it for compendium. I don't think think there's anything else in there that I would.
So we have talons in B tier, which they could win a tournament, but they probably won't. We have scions and demons in C tier, and we have Tyranids, Death Guard, scouts, and greenskins all in D tier, which is they are at least a functional team currently, and they don't get blown out of the water by everything.
Yeah. I'm genuinely on the fence with scions even being B tier, honestly.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Just to put a pin in that, depending.
Why do you think so?
Yeah. Because they
can take 5 gunners.
They got a lot of gunners. They can really shell out a lot of extra APL. They can do mission actions for free if they choose to. There's a lot working in their favor to help them play the mission pretty effectively. They hit on 3s, and they also have orders to reroll 1s, which is very efficient. So yeah, they don't get to guarantee the 1 kill that they really need, like a Casterkin can do, and they don't have all the versatility of the ploys that Casterkin can do, which is why they're not as good as Casterkin, in my opinion. But C, I think they do better than demons, genuinely. But they're higher than demons on C so far. But it's just something I wanted to call it to put a pin in, because I think they are a little underrated.
So I will say that if you're thinking about taking scions, I think that you should take Vet Guard or you should take Casterkin. I think that both are better for me personally.
Sure. Yeah. But where scions land if you're not taking an alternative team.
So you think that our B tier is they might be able to win one of these tournaments. So you think that they
they can take it?
Quite possibly. I mean, I guess if the right player,
if B is winning, see, this is where I'm trying to get. Mm-hmm. I think I'm seeing the letters as a slightly different definition.
What is your B?
Well, I'm not seeing it as can possibly win or something like that. I'm having difficulty keeping track of which one is can possibly, can probably not possibly can,
I was thinking like B is you could win if the circumstances kind of favor you and you could do it. And C is like the likelihood is really not probably going to happen. That's like completely like when you're just on a hot streak and everything's going in your favor. Like it's almost not going to happen. It's an anomaly. And then D, you could win some games, but you probably won't win the tournament, Then anything below is just like you're there to have.
I think they're fine where they are then.
So for you, G, C is like average. You're going to go 50-50. You might win half your games. You might lose half your games.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, unless you get super lucky, that's mostly where B tier is, then you'll win. But I don't actually think so, but you'll have a good time. And then D, you might win like 1 game or 2. And then like you kind of just lose the rest.
Okay.
Sure.
So,
okay, I'm fine where they are then.
I think there's let's what team do you guys want to place in here next? There's a lot of spicy teams up here.
Let's talk about the clowns.
The clowns.
Okay.
They're super good. At least A tier.
Yeah, I think they settle very, very tightly into A tier.
I haven't seen them win anything outside of Pacific Northwest. They have won a big one. I think they won something in Europe recently too, but I haven't seen them win anything else. And they just don't inspire as much confidence. I've been screwed over by them enough that I know that they definitely belong in A tier for sure.
I think ahead of them in A tier, I would put Legionary.
I think Legionary's S tier.
Well, at least top of A. I don't know about S if you're putting them on the level with. Well, maybe if we're putting Vet Guard up there, it's reasonable to say. But then we're also saturating.
That's what I wanted to point out. Like, do we actually think Vet Guard is an S? Like when you take them, like you're probably going to see.
I think they're A at least.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because they'll do a great job.
And I would agree.
And wherever Legionnaire goes, I think Intercession follows.
Who I was looking for them. I think Intercession can go there. Now, you've played with Justinian. I haven't messed around with them. I don't think they're as good as Intercession, but like on paper, they could even... They seem like they could be, especially with that sniper. What was your experience with them, G?
So you find that you're going to definitely have the heavy bolter pretty much in the back, unless you want to dedicate a turn moving forward, really like a turn and a half. So the mobility isn't quite as good as Legionnaire or Intercession. So I think they're just a little bit below, and not having tactics isn't like, it doesn't break the game, but I would have liked to have some of the tactics. I did really appreciate having three guys hitting on twos, which I think if the full rules ever get fully revealed, assuming they do anything, I don't think you should be able to take the sergeant and the captain. That feels a little wrong. But I'm going to do that until they say I can't.
It's a little weird, right?
Yeah, because I have a captain, everyone's hitting on twos.
Yeah, my heart says top of B, but I just see that Intercession can be a little bit more versatile.
Yeah. I would agree with you guys. I think that they're a very strong B team. I think that, I got a question about this. I think one way, but if currently, like, we have to play with what we have, right? Like, there's been no other rules that have been released if they ever plan on doing anything like that. If you don't bring an operative because they have 7 models, do you still get that tactical?
Yes. Oh my God, yes.
Yes.
I've seen this so many times. It makes that's just supposed to be
all the rules that they have. It's just that's all. It's just on the back, but that's all the rules the team entirely gets, regardless of whether you put them on the field or not.
Yeah, I can
just
see
the intercession.
A cool idea in the background where it's like, oh well, my mustering matters because then that gives me access to certain ploys, right? That being said, no.
Personally, what I would hope for.
I'm very much against that. I will find another soapbox bigger than my DACA box to get on to tell people not to do that.
That's fair. The reason why I think that it's more I will kick your DACA box out from, your soapbox out from under you real quick.
Don't worry, there's more DACA.
If you don't bring the operative, you don't have the card. What if you don't own the card? I guess you could go to Wahapedia, but in my opinion, I think it's a much cooler idea or cooler aesthetic, which I could be very wrong. That you don't get access to those just because it's. I think that it very well could be intended that you get all the rules, right?
Can I say
if you buy a pack and you don't get your model, then.
Sure. Actually, that's kind of what I want to point out is, all right, in this game, when I want to buy a team, I buy the team. When I play Magic the Gathering, I buy a pack to gamble, or I go online and buy the card I want. When I go Justinian, now I have to buy the whole box set if I want to guarantee getting it. I think I'd rather just buy a team that I know I'm getting for the money. Just saying. And the only reason I'm playing Justinian...
Isn't that the same thing?
Is it?
I think it's $80.
So now I'm paying more, but as a 40K player, and again, this really only applies to only a handful of people, maybe so many people, right? I already have those parts.
Justin Timberlake. Get it right.
Yes, Justin Timberlake. That's right. Justin Timberlake. All right.
Please.
So I would rather buy the one box where I know I'm getting every piece than maybe not have access to be able to buy all the gotchas. I can't think of a better word for it right now. Because you might not get the thing. You could go to Scalpers.
It's on eBay right now. It's on eBay right now for $149 for the whole team. Or it's on Koros War Games, wherever that's
No. Scroll up, Dakota. Scroll down. Scroll down. This is great radio, by the way. Scroll down a little bit more. That dude on the left, Space Marine Hero. That's my pick for next for the next box. Forget Noise Marines. I want a team of that guy.
This guy?
Yeah, you got to put that in the show notes.
Yeah. Let me
So
save
that's
images.
like my one beef with like teams like that, where you kind of have to either buy the full thing and you're likely going to get it, or you got to go and pay more prices for the team. And I'll be honest, I collect all the Primaris
honestly, you could
captains,
build
so I
this
have to
team out
try
of
to get
whatever
this
you.
guy. Yeah, that's exactly what I did, because I already own the part, save for the captain. I own all the parts, right? So like it works. You don't really need to buy these,
Same.
but it's
Same,
unless
yeah.
you really like the sculpts, then sure, absolutely. But I'd rather, as a person thinking about the amount of income I have to spend on hobbies and stuff, I'd rather guarantee the thing I want and know that it's going to be in that box set, you know?
Agreed.
But Giacomo, what if you only need Captain Sexy back, and you could
That's
just
what
buy
I
one
need,
box? And what if
'cause
he's in that one? What if?
I mean, I could get,
What
no,
if-
I think I'm just
What
going
if he's in that line?
do
You could
want
save
that
so
model.
much money to get Sexy back.
I'm just going to buy it
I do
online.
want
Someone's
that
going to
model.
have it. I want it because I collect
I think
all
it's
the captains
frustrating
that are
that they-
Primarist.
Yeah, it's frustrating that they've announced it for so long ago, and like we still can't buy them in America. It's very frustrating.
Let's talk
Yeah.
about the last Marine team on here.
Phobos.
Oh, we haven't done
I think
that.
they're S
Oh,
tier.
yeah,
I
Phobos.
think that they could easily win the tournament.
I think they're nestled close to. Well,
To
I mean, I don't think they're
be-
S tier, because if they have to play into
Not
cults,
enough.
that's a rough.
They
rough
also
time.
suck into Legionary, in my
Yep.
opinion.
So I think they're A, but they're lower A, probably either before or after Intercession. I would put them before Intercession. Honestly, I think they play the mission better. But Intercession is so popular. If we're
Like,
playing the whole,
Intercession can take a
if
hit,
we're
though,
organizing
and
this
kill
of
them
who
right
would be,
after.
yeah, that's true. That's
Like,
true.
'cause I
Yeah, maybe
I
after
like-
Intercession. I mean, this is also nuanced before after, but I think
Giacomo
A is
Giacomo would know this one.
yeah.
like,
Wherever
G-
you put it.
Where would you put these guys?
I don't want to necessarily put them in A, but I think they do have the toolkit to be in A.
Whoa.
I would probably put them closer to B. Like, you sort of need to have like
For
the right
me-
opponents and everything to go perfectly, and kind of like, yes, you made it happen. Because you're right. If you run into cultists, you're like, I'm done. Like, what am I supposed to do?
Yeah.
Well,
I
no,
mean,
they actually
unless
have
you're
really
not.
they have a really good alpha strike, and they have great aspects, especially with Octarius being so popular.
Mhm.
They can just alpha strike really easily turn one. I don't think cultists and Felgor are as big of a deal. You can get a lot of models, of course, wounded, which doesn't help the fact for cultists. So maybe I'm wrong.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah,
You
but,
sort
I
of
mean,
have to have
they-
kind of things fall perfectly.
So your argument is, I mean, Jack, I'm gonna.
I think B. So like you
I
could
think
win.
they're at
I'm
least
not,
top of B.
I could be fine with top of B. I can be fine with top of B. Yeah, I can live with that. Just because it's one of those, I think you have to like.
Well, I mean, with
there's-
how popular orcs are, I think it's. Go ahead. Sorry.
What I was going to say is, no, I can't remember. Anyway, go on with the orcs.
Oh shoot! I'm sorry, G.
It's
sorry
okay,
about
it's okay.
that. I was just commenting that with how popular orcs are, I think orcs and legionary as well do really well into them, better than they can make up for going into cults. And the fact that we haven't seen so many cults, I think there's more of their counters that are going to be around there. So I think I'm okay with top of B.
Okay, fair enough. I mean, we also haven't seen them win a major outside of Ace. What do you guys want to talk about next? We guys want to talk about a higher tech circle?
Sure.
I think they have
So
a
higher
similar
tech
problem.
circle.
Mhm.
I'm
think it's a
in
B.
between B and C with these guys.
Ooh, that's actually a good point, because every time I played against them, and it's not to say that the players are bad, man, RNG is just not on their side. When they're not resurrecting for like 2 turns in a row, you're just doomed.
Mhm.
They're great in the Colts.
That's what I was going to say. They have an amazing blast
That big-
into cults.
That big blast.
Times 2.
That's true. So, you know, I think it'd be bottom B, top C.
I think C is too punishing. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm okay with
because-
bottom B.
I'm fine with bottom B because they they hurt, but if you're not getting those resurrection rolls, like if something happens, you're just stuck. and that's
they're too
that's part
squishy
of
of
the
a team, in my opinion. I mean, they do get up really well. They have a lot. They're really tricksy of a team, but they're like a steamroll team. Like you have to start winning hard, and if you don't win hard, then you shouldn't be playing them. Like, I mean, not you shouldn't be playing them, but they're just not going to be. I think they're just one of the most difficult teams in the game to like really play to the utmost highest ability. And I just never seen anyone do good with them, like super, super good with them. So, what about Exaction?
Oof.
We had Kellen on here on the Hot Takes episode saying they're S tier a while ago. They haven't gotten nerfed since then.
I'm thinking C tier.
Yeah, I'm thinking top of C for me.
Okay.
I think.
Yeah.
I don't see them ever winning a major.
Not in their current state, no.
No, definitely not.
No.
They need something else. They need a little bit more.
Like Inquisition with them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. Speaking of which, let's put them up in S.
Yep, agreed.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Inquisition does fantastic, whether they take Casterkin, whether they take Vet Guard, whether they take Exaction. I think
even Breachers with the cat.
I meant Breachers inside of Casterkin. Yeah, Breachers with the cat. Giving that cat and then using a plasma cannon. Oh my God.
Now would you put them in?
And
you're saying S, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
I think we're not seeing them enough. I think they're really good.
They are way more popular in other countries than they are currently in America. They are a fantastic team. The fact that you can take maybe not the best parts of each of the teams, but a really good part. Like you can take the demo man with Vedguard and the comms. You can take the cat and all the killiness of Breachers. And then you have Exaction, who you can take the what did you call it, Emmanuel? The best mid game or mid board?
Oh, the shield guys. Shield guys with phosphor lumens or whatever. Lumens. It's ridiculous. Yeah. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I would agree on that. I hate that.
Yeah, and it covers. They can take what they need to cover their blind spot, depending on what their matchup is, and that's a great Swiss Army knife to have.
Yeah, when Vetguard more struggle against like Felgor, then you can take, if you're not going to take the demo man, like take the dudes with shields because you can block a lot more and do a lot of good stuff.
You pop
on Into the Dark. They could just tar pit.
Gosh.
Yeah, honestly, that's exactly
I played
what
against them on Into the
Dark. I have
Dark.
to deal with them. That's exactly what happens. They just
they're even good in
They're not going to kill you, but they're holding you back. I hate it.
Yeah.
I barely won that game.
They're going to arrest
and it's because
people.
just like it's just one of those things. You're like, God, I can't get through this hole. I'm being stuck for a few turns. Yeah.
Yep.
But C for me. For our BDs.
Speaking of being stuck, do we want to file in? Yeah. Speaking of stuck behind our BDs, I think we can actually file in a few more into C right behind them, just because it's kind of beating a dead horse at this point, talking about how much Warp Coven struggle, how much Wormblade struggle in the current meta.
Yeah.
I think they're better than Demons, but I think Scions actually, Scions do a little bit better than Warp Coven.
Agreed.
And
then Wormblade as well. I think Wormblade I think Wormblade might even are definitely better than
I think so.
You think with the changes too, now that they can take either of the two archetypes?
I mean, I'd even possibly put Wormblade at the top of C. I mean, Anthony's a great Wormblade player. There's a lot of good Wormblade players out there, unfortunately. And Jonathan, I've never met him, but I've seen him enough on ITC. The only reason why Wormblade's win rate went so low is that he just stopped playing them. Jonathan Renshaw, I think. We talked about him last week.
Yeah, well, the other side of the coin is that they lose so much of their gimmick on Into the Dark. Yeah. And if we're talking about mixed tournaments, they're going to have a difficult time because they're just completely shut down by a popular format in most of the world, Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah, so it's less about the team's problem. They definitely need help. I struggle to figure out a way to help this team, because it's not so much the team. It's like one of their biggest hurdles is overcoming a format, right?
Yeah. I have 3 other teams I would put in C.
Go for it.
For me, these are going to start getting spicier.
Yeah,
I definitely put Kroot in there. I'd put them probably at the top of C.
I would agree.
I think they're still too dice dependent, and I still haven't seen them win anything. They're a great team. Don't get me wrong. You will win games. You will go at least 50-50, if not better.
You're 100% on the calling out the dice, though. And that's their biggest issue. And Rogue is kind of a letdown.
Yeah, it's not it's not a bad issue. It's just like, if you take the team, you're probably not going to win everything just because of dice. You can blame dice, and if you want to blame dice, then take Kroot.
Oh man, save that for hot takes, my guy. That's great. Oh, I love that.
I would definitely think put novitiates in here as well. I think that we haven't. Now, here's the thing. If we had Chris still playing this, Chris Baki, I could see them still winning. They're not very popular. They're awful on Into the Dark. A lot of other melee teams really crush them, like Colts, Felgor. Emmanuel, what do you think about novitiates? They're not a popular team anymore. We rarely see them.
Yeah, I mean, low B at least. They're still a good team. I mean, Faith Points still do what they do. I wouldn't put them in C. Like, I don't see them on the same level as Arbites. And that's what C's looking like, Arbites and friends, right?
Yeah.
Good point.
Okay. Yeah. Fair. I'll give you that. What about you, G?
They're tougher teams. That's how I feel. Like, they just have their opponents are just tough. But I think B is
this
right.
One. Okay. All right. B is right. Bottom of B at least.
Yeah.
So
I can live with that.
This one is, I'm going to get written in the book. I'm going to get written in the book about this.
Oh, we're going for the dwarves?
Yeah. The only way that you can win a tournament is if you give them 6-inch movements and 3 APL. So a major tournament, at least. I see them strong in at least I see them in B tier, but I don't ever see them winning a tournament outside of.
I think they're in C.
Weird things happening. Giacomo, we're going to get crucified for this, by the way. The fact that we both agree on this. There are so many people part of so many Discords that are like so on the rock and stone train. They've made a train out of rock and stone, and they are riding it. They are riding it heavily.
So that's the problem. Their train is made of a rock and stone. That's not going to go far.
They believe.
You know what a rock and stone can do well against? A nun with a gun.
A nun with a gun?
Right. Yeah. You're saying that novitiates will do better than, elephant in the room misplays aside, there's still a team that could do well, right?
Yes.
They have a lot of great tools. Locator's great.
That's one of the best tools.
They have the mag rifle with the ability to let them shoot for free. I think it's a ploy, which lets them get around the whole.
The ancients are watching, I think.
The restriction. Yeah. I mean, they have so many wombo combos. They got a great alpha, which can help them mitigate a lot of the issue with cults. I think they're in B, the lower half of B. You're saying that Talons are better than dwarves? I'm not sure about that.
So
I know that. Go ahead.
So for me, I think when they're played correctly and you don't have a 6-inch move with this team, I think that their movement is too much of a hindrance. For instance, on any hot dog map, you pretty much have to take security because you can only pick up a recover item. This is something very important for everyone to know. You can never pick up a recover item within 2 inches. You have to be within 1. That is just an objective fact. And when you play hot dog or hamburger, you can't get within a recover item within 1 inch. It's mathematically impossible unless if you use your jump pack, or you use a pre-game recon dash. So, it's for me. Recon is probably one of the best things to take, and they kind of get really screwed over on that. I don't see them winning a big tournament. I will also say that I do think in generally they can be a B team. I think if we're going to put them in B team, they would definitely probably be above Talons. But
and I mean,
there's a lot of weird. If you got everyone out there listening, if you are ever, no matter who you're playing, if you're ever worried that you're playing against someone and they're not playing a rule right, make sure you call a TO over. A lot of people are hyped on this team because of how well they've done in tournaments, and they shouldn't have been there. So, and in fact, I think that's the only tournament that they've actually won. So I don't think that this team deserves to be an A or S tier like a lot of people are thinking they are. I think they're a solid C team or B team.
I would be too hasty to take.
Okay, Gandalf.
Oh, well, I'm actually going to share my secrets. I'm not keeping my secrets.
All right.
The Great Gray. But
share your secrets.
I don't think recent events should be weighed so heavily on the abilities of the faction. I mean, listen, misplays happen. I've done my fair share. Right?
We all have.
That's just a fact, right? Mm-hmm. And I think that misplays can overrepresent the current misplays can overrepresent how good the team is, but they shouldn't be. We shouldn't take the opposite end of the. We shouldn't swing too far the pendulum the other side, right?
Okay.
Because realistically, Kellen piloted these guys at AVTT and absolutely crushed cults, right? That's the point I'm saying, right? And who are we worried about as a boogeyman that you need to have an answer for?
Cults.
Is cults, and they do. They have a great alpha option, and they have big guns. They've got buffs that help them mitigate some melee pressure. Like they got stuff. Are they A? No. God, no. But are they C? Absolutely not. Like they're not even close to on par with our BDs and Crew, which are the top of C right now for us, right? Mm-hmm. So that just means by definition they have to be in B, and then we just see where they filter in B. I think they're better than Talents in the current meta.
Do you guys think they're better than Justinian?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, I would agree. No.
How about you, G? You're painting them up, man.
Yeah, I like them. Look, when I was buying them, I liked the way their armor looked, but I didn't want to buy an army for 40K. But then they're like, hey, we're going to make them a team. So I was like, all right, I'm going to buy that. Okay. I think you've solidly convinced me where I can see Hearthkin being in B tier.
Okay.
I feel convinced.
B tier. Right in front of Talons.
Yeah, these tier lists get a little easier once you get some stuff on there, because if we're confident with what we've already done, then we just say, okay, who can be who? Almost.
That's true.
Right?
Yeah.
Let's talk about the last white dwarf stuck on there. I'm sick of seeing that little symbol to deal with, right? The long lost days of white dwarf. Let's talk about Hunter Clade.
B tier?
Hunter Clade are really, really good in the right hands. I think they're at least A tier. I don't think they're S, but I definitely think they're A tier, in my opinion.
They do real well in the right hands, but they do not have any blast. They struggle a lot from that in a lot of teams, because we're going to be putting
There's a lot of Horde teams up there.
We're going to be putting Geller Pox pretty high.
Yeah.
One of Hunter Clade's issues into Geller Pox is blast. You already have cults up there. Commandos play really well into Hunter Clade. Ask me how I know. And
I don't know. I'm just kidding.
Sorry, Alex.
Well, I mean, the thing is, like, not everyone has the ability to train into orcs as much as Alex does, to the point that it's a tough match for me now, right? Because he knows Squires, all the
Alex, for all of our listeners, he's been on our podcast before. Alex Squires is the best AdMech player that I know, and he plays a lot and he is also the second half strategic advantage.
Yes.
So
we play a lot of games together, and I probably there was a time when it was a lot of orc victories when we play, and he's gotten to the point where he has great counters and great disruptions to that, right? But not everyone plays against commandos almost exclusively as he does, you know? So the reality of it is most Hunter Clay players won't have that drilled into them.
Mm-hmm. I can see Travis Chang and maybe some people overseas playing them very well too.
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. There's definitely great players out there, but the team itself doesn't carry a lot of that forward. Most of that comes from the player. And with Gellerpox going to be high on our list, no doubt. They're going to have some difficulty into that. So I say B tier. I think ahead of dwarves on B tier is a fair spot for them because they do better than dwarves into most, and they play the current missions better than dwarves.
I think that's fair as well. I would be 100% willing to put them in A tier, but I think a strong B tier is much more reasonable
for what they
than my
do.
spicy take.
That's what they call me, Emmanuel, Mr. Reasonable.
Do they really call you that? I've never called you that once.
Absolutely not. No. It felt wrong saying it.
Emmanuel, the soapboxer.
Emmanuel, Mr. Reasonable, the guy who bought 8 Goff Rockas with 0 plan, right? Yeah, that sounds like Mr. Reasonable, right?
Where do we fall with Gellerpox again? In A tier?
No, I think they're S tier. So
I think they're top of A, low S.
So
one of the two.
Reason why I'll put them at top of A right now. And the reason why I think they are S tier. Orion hasn't touched this team since LVO. He came to the All Valley team tournament. He didn't eat breakfast day one because we didn't feed him because we're awful hosts. And he lost his first game.
You made him set up boards and then put him in a cage and then brought him out for his first game. That's what happened?
Yes.
Oh, man.
Mm-hmm. And he won the rest of his games. And he played Alex and he played Chris Baki. And he won every single game. And he had... I think he had the most amount of points and the highest strength of schedule at the AVTT, but he lost a game, so he wasn't number 1 overall. Wow. And with Orion attending the grand narrative, if he brings Gellerpox, which I don't know if he will, if he does, I could see him pulling a repeat. He might not say that, but I think Orion is one of the best players in the world for sure, especially on this team. And maybe he's not attending New York Open or any of the other tournaments. So maybe they don't belong in S because I don't know if anyone else can pilot them the way that he can. But
I mean, genuinely, when I said top of A, I was actually thinking of behind Legionary. So not even close to S for me. You know, I think Legionary I mean, if you take Legionary with very, very good hands versus Gellerpox with Orion, I think that's still a very, very decent matchup. I think Orion could still take anyone that you throw at him for the most part, but that's more about him and less about Gellerpox. But if we're talking about the team itself, I think that there's a lot of answers that a Legionary player would have that would put him on the edge. And then Cults do really well into Gellerpox as well. As Commandos, I've never really worried about Gellerpox. I have a lot of ways of dealing with a lot of the mites, and they're the ones, and the little Greebles, they're the ones that really get the work done.
They do.
And then you have Intercession with Plasma Blast. I'm going to keep saying their Plasma Blast over and over and over again, but that thing is unreasonable. It's so busted, right? It is. Oh my God. But they have all the answers, and then they also have Phosphor Shield dudes that can just tar pit the Hulks even more. It's nutty. So I mean, think about Cults. Mind Witch can sap 1 APL on someone she has line of sight on. Like, what's a better way to stop a Hulk dead in their tracks, right? True. Keep them at -1 APL for the majority of their relevant activations, right? Mm-hmm. You can put the little, the mortal wound bubble thing in places, right? And knock off a lot of wounds from those little Greebles, right?
Yeah.
There's so many answers into them right now with the S tier that I don't think that they could live in S tier.
That's fair. I do think that Legionary, I think that they're amazing, but I think they're also even better in Shane's hands, and I don't know what Shane's going to be bringing, or if he even plans on going to any of these other tournaments. But he's definitely the best Legionary player in the world, and I've seen firsthand of how good he is at 2 tournaments in person now. So
I hear he's taking Ecclesiarchy.
Really? Could you imagine?
I hope he does. No, I don't believe so, Giacomo. I mean,
No, yeah, I assumed it was fake.
Well, I'm pretty sure I saw something on Reddit where they said that there's like the first box, it said Shane with Ecclesiarchy. It seemed pretty reputable.
and Orion with Chaos Demons.
I mean,
it's
you
possible.
say that. I'm pretty sure he's ran those at a tournament recently.
Yeah,
recently enough.
He's done very, very well with them. Yeah, so these are some of these are definitely top of the lists. So let's move on to what do you guys want to talk about next? Which team? There's only 1, 2, 3, 8 teams left. Which one?
Pathies.
Pathies. Yeah. I think they're
an A.
I think that they're in B.
I think they're in B.
I mean, they do beat actually they kind of do beat all teams in B.
Yep.
And C.
Okay. Yeah, okay. Yep. Touche.
Yep. Pathies are really good. They're not higher because of it being mixed.
I think that they smash intercession. They smash.
Meaning I meant they're not in an S tier because if we're talking mixed tournaments, even though the recent balance patch did give them some more abilities on Into the Dark to help them be relevant early on with dishing out those marker lights specifically. It's enough to get them into A instead of lower, but I don't think it gets them much higher.
Yeah, I don't think there's not a lot of people playing Pathfinders right now either. So it's interesting to see where they're going to line up, or if anyone can figure out how to actually play them on Into the Dark with Kion. I still think it's good, like theoretically, but I've never played the matchup, so I can't say for sure.
Speaking of shooty people, shooty Xenos. Let's do the elves now. Which flavor do you want?
Dark.
So let's go with the worst of the teams. Corsairs? Oh, gee, you want dark elves instead?
I guess gray is technically the worst, you know? If we're going by dark, gray and light. Yeah, so we could do Corsairs.
So Corsairs, I think they're in B. I think they're a solid B team if we're just talking about overall strength.
I think they do better than Nuns. I think they do better than Necrons. I think they're better than
Talents.
Talents.
Yeah. This matchup, I don't know.
I favor dwarves over them.
What about you, G? What do you think? Do you fight them a lot at our local tournament stores?
No, I don't get to. Our only friend
slow
who
versus
might
fast
play them usually plays Kroot, so so I don't get to play
usually
them
very
often. She usually plays Kroot, but she's the
I'm
person I know who
second guessing.
I think they're better at scoring I think they're better at scoring points than dwarves, to be honest.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking as well. And they're more comfortable covering the gap with all those power swords into the dwarves. Yeah, no, I'm okay with that. I don't think they're ahead of Hunter Clade though.
Me neither. I think that it's funny, they're directly solid in B tier. I think Corsairs personally are one of the best balanced teams out of everything that has ever come out. I think that they're an amazingly beautifully made and just team in general.
Who knew? Just give everyone power swords and the team's balanced. It's great. What an elf simp this host is, huh, G?
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, I do like me some Yariel. He is one of my favorite.
He doesn't watch
HQs.
Yuri or Yahweh. He watches Uriel.
Let's do Hand of the Archon.
A.
Okay. A.
Yeah. Okay, so I think they're better than Pathfinders for sure. But are they better than Harlequins? That's the question.
I don't know. I'll be honest, and I think it's splitting hairs. I would be just as comfortable flipping a coin and giving you an answer than making a call between those two teams.
They
both do such dramatically different things.
I was just about to message Chris what he thought, and he would obviously say they're better. So let's move them in front. There we go.
Didn't even need to text him. You just know that would be his answer.
No, I don't. Yeah. fuck the clowns. I'm just dropping them because I don't even like them. This is going to be this right here, G. This right here is going to be
all the way to the fail. Yeah.
This is going to be for the clip that we post. All right. So I think we have a lot of strong teams left. We have Star Striders. I think they could be S tier. What do you guys think?
A.
I mean,
they're definitely A at least.
They're A. I think they're right there with Hota and Vetguard.
Okay.
I don't think they're S.
Fair.
I mean that Architect beam is scary.
It's stupid.
It destroys
it's
elites.
Scary.
Please nerf. Hashtag
yeah.
please nerf. Riot.
Yeah.
Oh, wrong game. Games Workshop.
Wrong game.
I think A tiers is solidly fine for them.
Yeah.
And then similarly, bleachers. Yes, the bleachers, the stands.
I think bleachers are S tier. I think they're easily S tier. I think they're bottom of S, but I think they're S. I mean, if you look at London Imperial Navy breachers, you have they usually always at least podium. In my opinion. In most, they usually at least podium. We don't see them get first a lot, but
just seeing them there, I'm just looking at the rest of the list, thinking like, okay, does it make sense for them to be ahead of Legionary? Does it make sense to be of Gellerpox? And I think you're right.
Vetguard, they also smash pretty hard.
Yeah. I'm liking them ahead of all these guys. I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Do we think that orcs are still the top of S now?
Yeah.
I think so.
Damn it. Fine. I was seeing if the hipster orc fan in me could maybe pull them away from the spotlight a little bit, but no, I think
hell no, you're mainstream.
Yeah, you're playing
now.
your Dakotah boy with his little beanie.
What's up? Say that, G.
Oh, you're mainstream now.
I know it makes me feel so gross. I'm gonna go pick up compendium fruits,
orcs,
greenskins.
That's right.
Felgor. Now these guys got hit really hard recently, but I still think that they're a good team.
I put them in
I think they do better than Novitiates.
Yeah, I think they're just
they definitely do better than Novitiates. Yeah.
Well, I think they beat up dwarves.
Maybe right behind Corsairs.
I mean, what do you think, Emmanuel?
I mean, I could see that, but then also like looking at when we make that move, you have to look at dwarves and say, okay, well, do they do better into the people all above them, right? Mm-hmm. Like not just like the kind of micro between the dwarves and the goats, but do dwarves do better into all the teams in A or more teams in A than goats do? And I mean, that's tough. I don't think the goats do that well into most of A, which is why they're in B, obviously. But compared to what dwarves can do into A,
well, they definitely smash on Vetguard and Pathies.
And right now dwarves have
a
little bit easier time getting objectives and stuff, just because of the current rule.
So, what about Talons? This is going to be a little bit harder of a placement, I feel. What about Talons? Do you think that they're a better or below Talons?
I think Talons really just need a lot of Into the Dark to do well.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah. Right. So
I'm also second guessing how high Talons are.
Are you thinking of C? You thinking of dropping them?
Part of me is thinking that just because like I'm thinking them on open board. And I was like, I really don't like that.
I think especially looking at what type of open terrain. I don't see them doing. They can do okay on turning points, but I mean they're still going to get Vetguard Demo Mind or Poison Grenade, or on open they struggle a lot more.
Yeah. I'm just trying to think if they're better, if they really deserve to be ahead of the nuns and the robots.
There, bottom of B.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. I'll take bottom of B. We got two more.
2 left.
Krispy
Kasserkin
Kremes.
and Blooded. Yeah.
Eh.
Where do you guys want to put Blooded?
Ooh, that's a tough one.
Yeah, it's really tough. I mean, I could see them being
Well, they're a melee
Top
team,
B.
right? Realistically, with good shooting.
I mean,
See,
I would favor them over Hunter Clade.
Yeah, I feel like this team is so player dependent. It's like it's really hard to place Blooded because depending on if you're a really great player or if you're a mediocre, like it's going to really affect where this team can go. Because to me, this team probably more than most is so much skill based. And map based. It's terrain based. It's kind of like luck of the draw. You got to pray to the chaos gods, you know?
Yeah.
I'm okay with that.
I'm fine with where they are. So we have Kasserkins are the final team to place. We have they're definitely above Scions.
Well,
Wow,
get me
you're
some
gonna die
honey
on that
because
hill.
these guys
Yeah,
are going to be in B.
Are they better than Votan?
Yes.
Are they better than Hunter Clade?
Yes.
Because these guys can slap elite teams. They slap. They can slap.
do.
So
they're going to beat out Phobos and Justinian.
but I don't know if they beat Blooded.
I think they might.
I think
Yeah,
they
I
might.
think so. I think they're easily so they're easily top of B. Are we putting them in A tier? Now, I don't see them win very many tournaments.
No, I don't think they quite hit A.
Do you see Pathies ahead of them?
Yes. I think Pathy's Alpha Strike turn 1 is too strong to ignore, even if it is on Into the Dark. Kasserkins are also better against Felgor than Pathies are.
That's fair.
But
Yes.
can Kasserkin really beat, like, Hand of the Archon?
Maybe.
I haven't
don't
seen the
know.
matchup. But they just, you're right. They would slap Intercession and they would slap Legionary.
They slap most. I mean, they can slap some elite horde teams too. It's
Let's
just
put 'em
kind of
bottom of A and call it a day.
sounds good.
Yeah.
I think that's
Yeah, I can
fair.
live with that.
Yeah.
Did we do
So
it?
for everyone listening, yeah, we got them all. So for everyone listening, our S tier is Commandos is the top of S tier currently. We have Colts directly behind them, which, Colts could still be ahead of Commandos. I think it just depends on terrain. If anyone is putting out map packets, like feel it out. We have, I think that Colts are definitely the more boring team to play. I've heard from multiple people that they are extremely boring after you've played a lot of games with them. They might be one of the most boring teams in the game if you don't like winning. We have Inquisition and then Breachers. That sums up our S tier and in order. In A tier, we have Legionary. We have Gellerpox, Vetguard, Starstriders, Hand of the Archon, Void Dancers, Pathfinders, Intercession, and then Kasserkin. Emmanuel, you want to read off B?
Sure. We got Phobos. Kill Team Sexy back. We got Blooded, then some Hunter Clade. Corsairs. We got the Little Dwarfs. We got Felgor. We got Robots. We got Nuns with Guns. We got Golden Boys. You're okay with that? You don't need the real names?
No, those are fine. How about you, G? You want to read off C?
Yeah. So we have the Farstalker Kin Band. We have our Beaties coming right up afterwards. We have Wormblade coming right almost in that center, right next to Tempest of Scions. Scions have their moment. Then you have Warp Coven, which is just barely beating out Demons right at the end of C.
Mm-hmm. And then
So there you go.
D tier.
Demons are like the last one you probably could maybe win with.
Yeah, the rest, everything else is, probably not competitively viable currently in this meta. And to our opinion, we may be wrong. And if we're wrong, make sure you get into our Discord and tell us how wrong we actually are.
Yes.
Yeah, so
Can we send like a screaming
Speaking
message to Emmanuel?
A screaming message to me? ¿Por qué?
I don't know. I think it'd be funny if the audience did that. It doesn't have to be about anything. They just scream.
Like
wow!
it's like that thing that circulated maybe a year or two ago. It was this meme where someone posted someone's phone number on one of those tearaway flyers and said Chewbacca competition, leave a voicemail. And, and they pranked their friend because people were just calling them, going to voicemail, and just leaving the best Chewbacca they could. I'd be okay with Chewbacca's.
Just being screamed at.
Yeah, as long as you're doing it like Chewbacca, I could weather that storm.
Oh, I love that. I think there's one last thing I kind of want to talk about in this podcast, and everyone can kind of give their own thoughts and feelings on it. I think it's very important that we discuss mistakes, and mistakes happen, and I think that we should all be understanding and forgiving, and have some grace to an extent with mistakes. And we're all human. We all understand that mistakes do happen, and I think that in the game of Kill Team, we all can't play a perfect game, and we're all bound to make mistakes every now and then. And it's always important to realize that even the best players in the world can make a mistake. So when you're playing against the best people in the world, or these people who have really big names, even me, Giacomo or Emmanuel, make sure that if you don't think something is right, you call a TO. And calling a TO over should never feel frowned upon. It's always encouraged, or you can even ask to see the rule, right? I think that it's very important that players don't take things always for face value, because ultimately this is an imperfect game. For instance, at BAO, I misplayed the Vet Guard Mortar Blast, and I shot some Felgor, technically with indirect, against Sam. And we walked back like 4 or 5 after we realized that it doesn't have indirect, and it was just a brain fart, right? I knew that it didn't happen, but I made a mistake, and I shot it anyways. And I thought that it did, and we all make mistakes, and it's very important to realize that that people do make mistakes, and we're definitely not all perfect. But I think sometimes we see way too often people that get it wrong when they don't ask for something. They feel really bad afterwards, right? Like there are times when somebody may think that you may have somebody with a flamer on Into the Dark that is touching a wall, and you tell somebody that you can't move within 2 inches because they'd be in a hatchway fight, but that's not the case. That's not how the rule works. You have to be touching in order to be a hatchway fight. So, it's important to, if an opponent wants to call a judge, make sure that you make it open and willing that people can call a judge, and you don't shut them off from being able to do that, because that is their right in order to make sure that they feel heard, right? Because we're all humans. We want to make sure that we all feel heard and that we feel, right in the game. Do you guys have any mistakes that you guys have ever made before, or any additional comments that you guys would want to say to that?
Yeah, I got a fun mistake from Kill Team 2018. I got pile-in wrong, and I piled in a guy after a failed charge. And I still think about that move. This was, can't remember how long ago was that, like an LVO or something like that. Not an important game, not a critical moment or anything like that, but I still think about I'm seeing the orc, I'm seeing the terrain that I'm doing it on as I'm reliving this experience. And in the heat of the moment, I know how pile in works. I know consolidate, all that kind of stuff. But in my mind in that moment, it's like, oh, he charged so he can pile in. Like that was just the only thing that I retained in my brain at that moment. It wasn't the whole fact that he, and this is completely irrelevant to anyone who never played Kill Team 2018 or purged exterminatus the old rules from their brain when the new edition came out. But yeah, mistakes happen, man. There's a difference between intentionally deceiving and misrepresenting rules and making mistakes, and it's important to have grace to recognize when mistakes do happen and kind of understand, nod. Everyone learns from it. We all move forward, and yeah, just have some grace with it. I think you said it very well.
I think you said it very well, both of you guys.
How about you, G? Have you ever made a mistake in your perfect life?
Never. He's never made a mistake.
Many times. That's how I know my life is perfect, because I can make mistakes. That's all I have to add. So your life can be perfect too.
I don't know if you were hearing that,
mistakes.
Dakotah, but it sounds like his mistake was he didn't pray to the Omnissiah today, and his soul is being sucked into the machine spirit.
I'd agree.
Oh, poor G.
Jock here. The reason they said that was because at that point, my internet decided to jump off a cliff.
Yeah, I think that, that was also well said, Emmanuel. And I think that like there are certain things that, we all as a players need to recognize and do better and, go from there.
There was a quote from Bones. Was that the nickname of the guy from the British Tabletop Tactics? He used to be on there and then he left before Katie came on. Anyway, he said, Mr. Bones, the Bones, Bony Boner Doctor. I don't know. But he said, I love making mistakes because I get to learn something. Maybe not super relevant to current Kill Team events, but I think it's also pretty neat to think about mistakes in that respect of like, okay, yeah, I made a mistake. I'm never going to forget pile in. Not ever again.
Yeah. And I think it's also important to realize that, we don't ever want to do these things on purpose. And, sometimes, it happens. I think that sometimes, people can get carried away with their things, or they might want to win too much. There's been multiple people in the Kill Team community that have had that problem. And just realize that we're all playing the game and we should all have a fair chance to win. So, yeah. But, Eman, is there anything that you want to shout out? Now, here's the thing before we do the shout out. Giacomo's not a part of this call, and he has to end this and then save it. So we'll see what happens, because we might have lost the last 5 minutes. But is there anything that you want to shout out, Eman?
Sure. Yeah. So I'll shout out the Strategic Advantage blog, which is strategicadvantage.blog. Very creative. I have a recent article with with my take on the MetaWatch and a little bit of a soapbox DocaBox moment for commandos in their current and future. And I'm also putting together an article for my journey and my process in making my newest diorama for my Freebooters Commandos, which helped me get best overall at the Forge Brush competition at the AVTT, which I'm very, very proud of. That very heavy, very heavy trophy, which is also magnetic, which is also really fun. And you can catch me at my Instagram at eman.paints.
Yeah, you definitely deserve that trophy. It was you did a great job.
Oh, I appreciate that.
Yeah. For us here at Squad Games, if you're in the market for new boxes or secondhand models or attending an FLG event, consider using the link in our description. Any purchase you make gives us a kickback and helps us run events and helps the podcast itself. Also, consider Patreon. Patreon really helps us out month to month, and we really appreciate all of our Patreons. If you want to step up any of your hobby game, consider checking out Goblin's Hut and use our affiliate code SQUAD10 at checkout. And, thank you guys all very much for listening to this podcast. I know it was a long one. And G, do you have anything?
Yeah, now that I'm a little back over here, you can find me on Instagram at wargaming_studios. I'm currently working on Casterkin, then I'll probably be starting more of the Hearthkin. And just find us on Discord, on our Discord server. Link is in the description.
Bye.
See ya.
Wow.
The Squad Games podcast is a production of Squad Games Entertainment. For more information on Squad Games, please visit our website at lestersworkshop.com/squad-games.